Hello everyone, welcome back, and today for this painting we're going to be doing quite a stormy sky with a loose foreground and a loose seascape section. So the main focus will be light grey for the clouds, and this is a Schmincke watercolour paint, so we should get some nice granulation. And then for the landscape, a lot of dry brush, a lot of texture, but still staying quite loose. So for today's painting, I'm using this image from iStock, which I really liked the moodiness of the sky against the nice pop of colour of the sea. So I'm starting off with my large 3/4 inch flat brush, and I'm just paddling it in with the light grey to get some nice sort of cloud formations, which I'm not really going to paint. So the water on the page, because it's already been wet, is going to mix with that paint and that water, and it's going to do its own thing. So we've got some lighter sections, and then I'm going to add in some more richer, darker paints for some darker sections, so at the top and the belly of the clouds. There isn't any real plan for the sky, because you can't really plan out a sky like this. It's just a case of adding in some really nice, bold sections of colour, combining that with the water that's already on the paper, and then it will move and it will diffuse, and you'll get some really nice effects that will be quite surprising. The sky turned out more crazy than I was expecting, but I liked that. I thought it gave the painting a real sort of mood to it, which I don't think I could replicate if I tried again. So I've added in quite a lot of thick dark paint, and then I'm also going to paddle in now just some really light sections. There's quite a lot of water in this paint now, and this will be the suggestion of some lighter, wispier clouds at the bottom as we come down to the horizon. So just cleaning off my brush, making sure there's not a lot of water left on it. Because it had left quite a lot of water still on the page, and I wanted a nice sort of wispy cloud effect as we come down to where our mountains and our sort of seascape will be. Then adding in some more really dark mixture at the top. All of this can be done while the paint and the page is still wet, so it all still diffuses into each other and we don't have any hard lines. All of this will be done with a large 3/4 inch flat brush, although any size flat brush will do depending on what size your paper is. And this maintains a nice loose feel to the sky. You don't want to use small little brushes. I personally don't use round brushes for skies, purely because I tend to fiddle too much, and to stay loose and to stay quite expressive with the marks, I tend to use the largest brush that I can. So I have got a very rough pencil sketch on the page, so I'm just taking off a little bit of that hard line as we reach my sketched area, just so that you can't see that when I start painting the foreground and the land. So just taking a little bit more of the dark light grey. I realised that the paper has started to dry off slightly, so I've given it another light mist with my spray bottle. And as you can see, it's starting to diffuse again into each other. My boards are probably at about 25 to 30 degrees, so it's not particularly steep, but it's enough to encourage the movement of the paint. And then just some little sweeps of the brush, making sure there's not too much pigment left as I bring it down into that lighter section of the sky. And that's mostly all I'm going to do for the sky area. I like the darkness of the clouds. I like the fact that it's a little bit abstract. There's no sort of detail with the cloud formations. So I'm quite happy with that, and I'm not going to fiddle anymore. I'm going to leave it. So I'm starting to mix up some colours for the foreground, which will be the little hill that's at the very front of the image that I was using. And this needs to be quite dark because it needs to reflect the rest of the painting, because the sky area is very bold and very dark, so it's a stormy feel to it, so we need to keep that land section quite dark as well. but I'm starting off with my lighter values. So I've mixed some sepia with some sap green and a touch of yellow ochre. And I've just started to add in some splashes of colour, still using the large flat brush. I'm using the edge of it, which gives us a really nice clean line as we come up over the hill. And then as I go through, I'll be building up those layers and putting in some more dark. So adding some of the light grey now. And because the light grey is a granulating paint by Schmincke, it should mix quite well with the other colours on the paper. And it should give us some nice texture and nice movement between the colours without having to paint it all. Which is perfect, because I really don't like to paint every little detail. I find that that's not really my painting style anymore, although I did start off that way. I find that I really like using larger brushes now and using the I suppose the movements and the texture in order to build up those images. So making sure it stays quite dark on the right hand side, a little bit lighter at the bottom as we come into where it would be, the closest part of the foreground. And just varying those colours. So still using the green, the sepia, the light grey, a little touch of the yellow ochre. Making sure that it doesn't stay as one big flat colour. So I'm now adding in a very rich, pretty much tube consistency yellow ochre onto the very front of the painting. Just because I thought it looked a bit flat and it needed a little splash of colour there. So this is really thick, rich paint, and I'm now going to take my palette knife and I'm going to scratch through to reveal the white paper underneath. And this will give us a suggestion of some grasses and some shrubs, etc., right at the foreground of the painting. So this this stops us needing to use anything like white gouache. It means that we can reveal the white of the paper underneath without having to add any extra paint on. You can be quite loose with this as well, so you don't have to be very exact. Now taking my calligraphy brush, this is the smallest one, and I really enjoy using this for the suggestion of detail, but without having to paint every tiny little bit of detail. The bristles tend to separate out quite nicely, and you can get a really nice dry brush effect as well. So it works the same as a round brush, but just with a little bit of extra texture added. So I'm adding some of the sap green mixture, and now I'm darkening it up, and I'm just putting the suggestion of some countryside down there at the bottom of the valley between our little hills. I think on the image there was like a little house and some hedges and things, but I didn't really want to paint anything that was too specific. So I've mixed up some just various colours of the sepia and the sap green, just to give the suggestion of something. And then because I'm dry brushing, I'm also leaving little bits of white paper as well. So I've taken my larger calligraphy brush, because this is a slightly larger section that I'm going to be painting, which is this hill on the left hand side, and it has almost a mountainy look to it. So I'm using vertical brush strokes because we'll have some deep sort of crevices, etc. in the cliffs. So I want to leave some vertical white and lighter areas as I'm painting this cliff on the left. So I'm going to speed this up slightly because it does take me a little bit of time. It's probably the most detail that I actually put into the painting, but I'll speed it up slightly and you can see how I build up the different colours and the values on the left hand side. So we're now going to get quite misty and quite distant. So we're going to do a really light value of light grey with a touch of cobalt blue. And this will be for our furthest headland that's right in the distance. So using quite a grey colour, I'm going to also add in a little bit more cobalt blue to that, just to give it a little bit more definition, and so you can see it a little bit more clearly in the distance, so it doesn't just merge into the bottom area of the sky. And then bringing that along using my small calligraphy brush again this time. And then extending it a little bit into the sea. So it looks like a nice little cove. And we'll paint in our sea and then our beach area as well. Now with my larger calligraphy brush, I've just wet it so that it's nice and damp, and I'm running it across the cliff face on the left. What I'll do is take a tissue and just wipe off a little bit of that top layer of paint. I wanted to try and leave a little bit more of the colour underneath. It did look quite dark, and I don't think it really suited the rest of the painting, so I just wiped off a little bit of that top layer of paint. And you can do this all the time when you're painting landscapes. If you find that you've put a colour or too much colour on that you're not happy with, you can always wet it and then give it a wipe to remove some of that pigment. So now's the fun bit where we get to actually add some more perspective to the painting, because it does all look very dark at the moment. I've taken some rich yellow ochre and I'm just using my small brush again to add in a little beach right in the corner between our two hills. Nothing fancy, so just using pure yellow ochre, no other colours, and that just gives us the little pop of colour before we get to the sea area. So for the sea, I'm starting off with some turquoise, and I've added a tiny bit of cobalt to that just to take the edge off it. Now the sea, it does have a really nice colour to it. It's very turquoisey, and then as we get to the horizon line, as it goes into the distance, it gets quite a bit darker. I'm also trying to leave some suggestions of surf, so I'm leaving some nice white patches of paper underneath as we come into that beach area. So just using turquoise, a little bit of cobalt, and then I'll start to darken it up, so with a little bit more cobalt blue, and then sweeping it across as we come over to our horizon line. And I'll also add in a little touch of the light grey as well, because it's looking a little bit like the Bahamas at the moment, that kind of sea, lovely turquoise sea colour, and we need it to darken up slightly. So just neatening up that horizon line, making sure it's nice and straight. And then taking a tiny bit of our light grey, mixing that into our mixture, and then just bringing that across. And I think that adds a nice bit of context to the painting. So before it was an awful lot of light grey, a lot of sepia, very dark tones, but I think this gives us that sort of focal point in the centre, which brings the painting a bit more to life. Now I'm just doing the finishing touches to the painting and building up some more of those darker values on the right hand side as we come more into the foreground. So taking the larger calligraphy brush, using a lot of the sepia and the light grey, and just making sure that it's nice and dark, because the reference image that I was using did show that this foreground was really quite dark. And I was a bit nervous about doing that to begin with. I didn't want to make it too dark, because then I was going to struggle to balance out the rest of the painting. But now that I've got the main parts in place, I can then build up a few more of those values just to make sure it's got a nice pleasing overall look to it. So just a bit of dry brushing, a bit of texture, and then just sweeping that brush around. taking a little bit more of the dark again and still carrying on sweeping that in. Making sure that I'm not covering up all of those marks that I made with the palette knife earlier, because they give that really nice texture and contrast against the dark. So trying to work my way around those and that I don't cover them all up. Then I'm just taking a little bit more of the green, so quite a dark mixture here of green and sepia, and just adding a pop of green at the bottom just to give a little bit more contrast against all of that dark. And then just finishing off with the palette knife, scratching out a few more little marks because we had lost a few of yeah, I did try and keep them all, but it never happens. So I did have to add in a few more again. And then right at the brow of the hill, I wanted the suggestion of a few little marks as well, a few little grasses and stalks. So because of the rich paint still being quite wet, I was able to scratch up a few little dark sections on the brow of the hill. Now for the final bit of texture for the painting, I'm just using some white gouache with my fan brush. I'm going to tint this yellow using my yellow ochre, and I'm just going to cover up most of the painting and just have this in the foreground section. So we've used the palette knife, we've also spattered in some yellow colour, then I'm also going to spatter in a bit of green as well, and this gives just a few nice little marks and a bit of added texture, which is what we want. So just spattering that in, knocking them together, and that just gives the nice final touches for our texture. And that's the painting finished. So I hope you found that useful, and there's another image on the screen now for a tutorial that I think you might find useful if you'd like to paint some more stormy skies. It's been lovely having you today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.